Hello, hello, Sister Leaders community. And I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, and I certainly have a treat for you because I have a man in the house, a man in the house. And you know, here at the Sister Leaders community, we love our male ambassadors. We love the men who are committed, just like we are, to increasing the number of women in sister leadership. And so we have none other than Dr. Dwight Riddick the
Mm.
second, right? The second,
Yes,
right?
that's it. Yes, ma'am.
So, welcome to the Sister Leaders community. And so, we are going to certainly the your full bio is going to be attached to this, so we're not going to take up any of your time talking about your wonderful bio, and it is wonderful. But I just want to dig deep down into the questions so that people can see how great you are that they
Mm.
have for this next 30 minutes or so. How about that?
Sounds good. And thank you again, Dr. Pruden, for having me. It's glad to be here as one of the male ambassadors. Let's do it.
That's right. That's right. We love you. All right. So, my first question is you spent over 25 years in leadership and nearly 2 decades as a senior pastor. What pivotal moment made you expand into coaching and speaking?
Yeah, that's good. So, one, let me just again say thank you for having me. And I had opportunity to lead in ministry for a number of years, and I got to a place where God had been kind of speaking vision, and it was like, this is what I need you to do. And while our church was great and those who I knew in ministry were phenomenal, I really felt like in order to accomplish this God-sized task, I would have to tap into people, network, and relationships that were outside of the church. And so I tried it, right? I tried it, but everywhere I went, it was like, hey, pastor, hey, pastor. And while I'm not ashamed of that at all, I realized that people were treating me differently because I was showing up as a pastor than they would if I showed up as an entrepreneur. And so as a result, I made that shift to really learn, invest, particularly in John Maxwell coaching. That was kind of my start. And what I discovered is that when I became a, six-figure entrepreneur, when I started to understand business conversation and lingo and terminology, I was respected at a different level and accepted into some spaces that I was not allowed to go into as a pastor. And because I was in those spaces, I was then able to use it for ministry, use it for community change, and then also bring others along. So I was able to bring some other people from ministry spaces into marketplace. But I think there is a difference. I don't think one is better than the other, but I think being able to be viewed and seen and heard as a peer in entrepreneurship and a peer businessman and a peer in the academy was different from me coming in only as a pastor. And to be honest, that was kind of the pivotal moment for me where it was kind of like, hey, you're going to have to be something different in order to do something different. And my faith is become all things to all people. So that was big for me.
I love that. I love that. And so you kind of segue right into my next question because you kind of name dropped a little bit and I wanted to know a little bit more anyway. And so you've been trained by John Maxwell and Ambassador Suzan Johnson Cooke, I believe it is. And so
Yes.
what's the greatest lesson you've learned from each of them?
Yeah, that's good. So I think, well, and to be honest, I'm gonna say this. I don't want to say this for me, but I want to say it for others too. Like investing in yourself is the game changer, right? Trying to figure it out by yourself is crazy. Trying to think that because you know a little, you know a lot is absolutely bananas. Don't try it. The one thing I've learned from day one is you don't know what you don't know, and you can easily become the big fish in your space and never really maximize your potential. I call it like this false applause, right? And so people are clapping, people are excited because of where you are, and where you are might be greater than them, but it's really not as far as you're supposed to go. And once I realized that, that's when I started tapping into people and programs and coaches that were a lot farther than where I was. So I think the John Maxwell, which was my initial start, I still do some things with the Maxwell team, but I think that for me was the launching pad. And Maxwell taught me keep it simple. I mean, he didn't say that, but that's what I saw. He had really simple practices. He spoke very simple. He used simple terms and simple programs with simplicity. That's what I was trying to say. He spoke
Yeah.
with simplicity, but it was really highly impactful. And I think for me, We had done all of these grandiose events and put all the money in the details that we thought were important. And I showed up to his events and they were really, really simple, but they converted well. And so, from meeting John, my friend, to the books that he wrote, very impactful, but I think he taught me that simple was significant, which was huge. I think from U.S. Ambassador Suzan Johnson Cooke, I learned to be authentic. She is an ambassador. She's very well spoken, very knowledgeable. She is best friends with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, and yet very humble, very authentic. She is herself everywhere she goes, powerful, but doesn't necessarily have to present herself in the forefront all of the time. And so, in addition to the frameworks that I learned and the speaking tips and the how to negotiate, how to build a coaching package, how to deliver it, like all of those things I learned, those were the practical skills taught in the programs. But it was those auxiliary items, being authentic and keeping things simple, that I think have really helped me scale business and then be able to duplicate it so that others can do the same.
I love that. And you said some powerful stuff that with the keep it simple type thing, because one of my previous coaches went to a John Maxwell event and she came
Okay.
back and revamped her whole live event. She was like, she's wasting too much money with all these bells and
Right.
whistles and all that stuff. And so, yeah, we
Yeah.
certainly can learn more if we see more and expose ourselves to more. And so I love that. So let's kind of move into the category of coaching and high impact offers. And so, what does it take to build a high impact offer that truly transform lives and generate income? So, what does Dr. Dwight Riddick say in terms of
Listen.
that question?
Listen, I used to go straight to my program and say, you need these 4 things, and I would go over those. But I am learning, even after I've helped people build a funnel, design a website, create what I call the give and go. Like we have all of the things, and they still won't launch because they lack confidence. And it starts at a foundation of how much do you think you're worth? Not how much do you think people will pay, not well, who's gonna pay for this, not, well, how much should I make it because I don't know if they can really spend the money. It's how much do you think you are worth? And once you can build confidence to ask, confidence to give a CTA, then the sky's the limit. Because at the end of the day, people are rarely buying your programs, they're buying your transformation. Right? That they're not even asking you, well, how many courses is it? Or how many calls do I get? How many emails are you gonna send? How often do I get to talk? Like nobody asks you those questions. They ask questions like, what is this going to do for me? What is the
Yes,
return on investment? Like,
yes.
what will I get out of this? And so, I do want to go over the 4 practical things I think every coaching program needs. But I think day one, it is you realizing that you are enough, that your life experiences are the very things that people need, that when you put a price tag on something, you are not being charged, or you're not charging them by the hour, you are charging them by opportunity to learn from you so that they don't have to relive everything you've already gone through. Like your experience is valuable. And once you get to confidence, then I'm saying, here's what you want. You want what we call a give and go. A give and go is some type of freebie where you give something for free and then you go to an upsell, right? So this freebie is an ebook, a mini course, a checklist. And checklists are really, really good, particularly if you get to talk, because if you get to speak or you get to give a talk, you name 5 or 6 things in your talk and let them know that the other 7 to 8 things are on the checklist. So now they're signing up for the checklist because nobody wants to not know that there's something else available. Now
Mm-hmm.
you have their information, and the fortune is always in the follow up. So you give and then go to the upsell. That's an easy setup. You can use something quick like a job form or Google form to set that up. After the give and go, I encourage everybody to get what we call an ISO. So I got this basketball thing going on, right? I feel like I'm a basketball player in my head. And so the ISO is your irresistible signature offer. And I suggest that ISO be a masterclass or online course. What are the 6 to 10 things you would tell anyone that was in your niche? Take those 6 to 10 things, build them out into an online course. The course is videos, worksheets, questions, maybe some resources and tools. And now you have a passive income generator. And anytime you bump into anyone anywhere, you send them straight to your masterclass. Here's your ISO. This is something that I know people can use. And that ISO starts off at one price and scales as you go. So there's the give and go, the ISO, and then it's what I call a one-on-one. The one-on-one is your either coaching package, which is your high ticket, or your speaking package. But it's never you coaching and you speaking. So I always say you got to package it. Dr. Pruden, I've been telling people forever, water is absolutely free. I mean, except your water bill, right? It's free. The only thing that makes water valuable is somebody took the free water that we can get from our home, the free water you can get out of your refrigerator, and they put it in a bottle. And once they put it in a bottle, we started paying for the same thing we could get for free. And a lot of times, the free information you have will stay free until you bottle it. You got to package it. So as a coach, when you talk about high ticket, what you're not saying is I'm going to talk to you every day. That's not a package. The package is you get me one-on-one, maybe once a month. You get me in a live. You may get me on a webinar, right? I'm talking me, but I'm saying you, right? You also get the online course. You also get the workbook. You also get the journal, right? So now people understand that they're paying for transformation that's a system, not just an individual. And I recommend you do the same thing with your speaking, that you build your coaching package. It includes your ISO, it includes your give and go, and then some awesome other add-ons. But then even when you're speaking, I rarely ask to get booked to speak only. That if I ever get the chance to have a conversation about getting booked to speak, I'm saying, hey, I would love to speak in this moment, but here's what I also offer as a follow-up. Now you set yourself apart from other speakers because now you have follow-up product, follow-up services. And so now what could be a $5,000 or $7,500 speaking engagement turns into a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 coaching package because your speaking was the beginning of a system. So now when we talk about these high tickets that you're asking me about, I'm saying it's high ticket because it's high value. It's high ticket because it's not transformation only in one way or one facet or one method, but it's multiple ways people learn, multiple ways they receive, but then multiple ways they can also earn. So that's the short. And then the fourth thing I often recommend is what we call a huddle. And the huddle is your subscription plan. This is where people will give 47 or maybe $97. Some people do like 149, but it's a low hanging fruit offer. They get emails, text messages, maybe a weekly or monthly call. Typically, this is for people who want to stay connected, but they don't want to commit, right? They're not ready for the ISO. They don't want to spend the $25,000 or $35,000 on a high ticket. They're not really ready to give you all of their information on the freebie, but they want to stay connected enough so that when they do get ready, they're still in your orbit and a part of your community. So for me, the high ticket begins with the give and go, your ISO, your one-on-one coaching speaking, and then your huddle.
I love that. You just gave them the whole ascension package, how to move up from the bottom all the way up to the top. And so
That's
I
it.
love that. So
Absolutely.
my next question is, can you share an example of a client who turned their stuck ideas into a purpose-driven, profitable program?
Absolutely. I have a number of them. The one I usually start with is probably one of my first clients. His name is Terry Gray, and Terry worked at the shipyard. At the time, he's married with 2 kids, and he had this idea that he wanted to help people become safer. That was it. He works in the shipyard, and so it's factory type work, and he just saw men and women not really care about their safety. And he kept coming home like, man, we got to get people safe. We got to get people safe. I'm like, well, let's do something about it. So he started off by entering a competition where he won a jingle. After he won this little jingle as part of the shipyard, he came back. He was like, man, people keep asking me to do more and say more. I was like, well, let's package it. And so we put the package together. And the short of it is Terry Gray not only built the package and allow us to, do his website, write the book, create an online course. He recorded an album on Spotify, but he became a $10,000 speaker. So much so that he was traveling to places like Morton Salt. He was speaking at the U.S. Air Force. He spoke at Goodyear. He took his family to Mexico. He spoke 7 times in 10 days at $7,500 per talk, was able to take his family, upgraded his lifestyle, bought a new house, had 2 more kids. We always laugh. I said, you purchased 2 more kids with your lifestyle upgrade, right? Because he had two, ended up having 2 more kids. And even when the pandemic came, it didn't shut him down because he had services and products that were online, right? He had his ISO. So he was still able to say, listen, I know I can't get to your factory. And while some of those factories should not have been open, they still had partial workers coming in. They could log on to his masterclass and still understand how to be safe and how to operate in a way that brought your coworker home. Because if your coworker gets to go home, you get to go home. And he created this entire safety man movement. And so while, again, we've had many different clients and many different niche, he was really the first one to apply these practices, do the give and go, start reaching out with our proprietary system on how to book clients to speak. And he was in factories all over the country, so much so that there was a moment the shipyard had to actually create a position for him because he was traveling so much. So they didn't want him not to go because he represented the shipyard so well as he was going. But at the same time, he couldn't keep missing days. And so they were able to create something and craft it just for him so that he could both speak and get paid while also still keeping his job and get paid. So he could have gone off his job, and we had that conversation multiple times, but he found purpose there because he still wanted to make sure people were safe where he worked while also making sure factories across the country were safe. And he was able to deliver that through this, what we call playmaker process of the give and go, the ISO, the huddle, and the one-on-one. And so he's probably the first one to kick it off. And since then, we've had hundreds of people go through the program where they could earn that 10K in 2 months while also living out purpose, sharing their passion, and delivering their message. So it's been good. Thank you for asking.
I love that. So, kind of let's move into a phrase that we hear a lot, mindset. So, let's talk a little bit about mindset and
Yeah.
execution. And so, um, through our research, we found out that you talk a lot about moving from stuck with excuses to soaring with execution. So, how can someone recognize when they're stuck in excuses?
That's good. I think a lot of times you can find yourself stuck and not know it until you realize that you're complaining about the same thing every day. You're in the same place you were. And again, I really lean hard on you keep getting celebrated for what you've done and what you're doing. At some point, I really believe the celebration should turn into a critique. And once you get to people critiquing you, you realize you just made a move. As long as people are only celebrating, only clapping, only applauding, they have now seen you at a space where they think you should be, and it's a place that you are comfortable in. But that next level, like flying to that next space, getting to that next era of your life is going to begin when you start to feel a little uncomfortable, right? That is where growth starts. Growth starts right outside of your comfort zone. When
Yes.
people start to kind of question, well, why are you doing that? Why are you with them? Why would you invest that much money? Why do you think that's going to work? That's where you finally got to a place where you started to move above and beyond what expectations were. But as long as people are like, oh, that's so good, you're doing so great, you are right where they thought you should be, which is rarely where you know you can be. And so for me, I had this stint where I was in school. I graduated high school, top of the class, excited, and then went to college. And it took me 8 years to get out of college. I mean, I went from like class president to failing classes each semester, struggling to make it through. And it was a place where I knew I shouldn't be, but people were just so excited I was in college. They weren't even recognizing that I wasn't doing well in it. And that's when it hit me like, you know what? They are happy that I'm here and I am falling, not failing, because I do believe you can be falling and not failing. And as a result of me falling, I was able to bounce back, put my life back together, connected with some coaches and mentors. I started focusing forward, not really thinking about where I was, but looking at what I could be. I connected with people who were never impressed with me. Right? My mentors, it didn't matter what I did. They would say, that was good. Now what you gonna do? Oh, that was great, but what's your next step? And as long as I had somebody that was pushing me and not just pat me on the back, then it wouldn't allow me to stay stuck. So I would ask you to kind of survey your circle. Like who's around you and what are they saying about you? Is everybody happy about where you are? Or somebody looking at you like, you can do better. I know you can do greater. I was in the speaking program, the Next Level Speaking Academy with Eric Thomas and Jeremy Anderson. And there are moments where they actually allow us to speak in front of them. We get to speak with them, but we also speak in front of them and they critique the speech. And I never remember, I had done one of my talks. It was like a 10-minute, and everybody in the audience, they were clapping and screaming. And so I smirked a little. And Jeremy's like, yeah, it was good. But to be in this program, you got to be elite. And it just grabbed my soul, right? He just snatched it away. And it wasn't that I was celebrating how great I was, but it was just a huge contrast, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody's clapping, applauding, they standing up. And he looks at me like, yeah, that was good. And they happy, but I need you to be elite. And from that moment, it pushed me to go beyond the applause, go beyond the clap, go beyond the ordinary, the norm, the regular, and really seek to be what I call a playmaker. Like not the person that's in the game, but the person that makes it happen. Not the person waiting for somebody else to get it done, but the person that executes beyond their excuses. And so I think for me, those would be the answers I would give for anybody that's like, well, I think I'm doing great. I don't even know that I'm stuck. You may be stuck and never know it as long as people around you are satisfied with substandard.
I love that. So as I hear you talk, I do believe that for to help people get unstuck, that we have to have various practices to do that. And so, what daily habits or spiritual practices help you stay focused and productive?
Yeah. So for me, I can give you those practical. I will say this, that you always want to have discipline over motivation. I know people talk about being motivational speakers, and that's good. Coin the term. I use the term as well. But there can be some days you're not gonna be motivated. I mean, just if you're good at what you do and you really are excelling at a high level, you are not gonna be motivated every day to do everything necessary to achieve at a high level and maximize your potential. That's where I am. I want to maximize your potential. And so always understand that you're going to need discipline over motivation every time. So for me, it starts with rising early in the morning. Like I attempt to get more done between 4 and 9 o'clock than most people have done by the time they wake up from 9 to 5. And so I really believe in early morning starts. For me, I'm a guy of faith, and there are a lot of scripture that talk about things that people have done early in the morning. Early in the morning, I have my devotional time. And for me, that's quiet time away from wife and family, no music, no media, is reading, is sitting in silence, is writing. It could be music sometimes, but often I use the music later because I'll do that later in the day. The only thing I want to be able to hear is myself and God in that moment and make sure that we're kind of in alignment. I do read some there. And the reading for me is multifaceted. I try to stay diverse. I always say that if you read any one book, it'll grow you up. But if you read multiple different niche and genres, it grows you out. And the goal is to grow both up and out. And so as a result, I'm doing pop culture on one day, news on another day, global news on a day, sports on a day, tech on a day. I'm not into fashion, but I'm checking out fashion. So my goal is to know a little bit about everything so that I can connect to anyone. Now, I'm not trying to connect to everyone because it's been clear. I've been taught this and I'll share it with you. If you for everybody, you for nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely true. But I do want to make sure I have enough information where when the person who is in my niche appears, I'm prepared in every way to be able to connect with them. So I do spend that time in the morning. After that, I try to do some type of workout. Most recently, I've been doing just a short 30-minute walk. I leave then, and then it's family time, right? So from 7 to 8ish, 8:30, that's kind of checking in with the kids, making sure the wife is good. Right now, I've been doing for the last probably 5 years. I do a 6:30 a.m. live devotional, and so that is me getting it and giving it out immediately. And so I go live, and we have viewers that check that out. And then by midday, here's the strategy, my business strategy and my ministry strategy. I always make sure that we do what we call an IPA. That's an income producing activity. So in this order, I suggest, as I do, and some of the others that I've learned from, that you're always trying to close a new client first. Second, you want to advertise and market what you do. Third, you want to serve the clients you already have. And a lot of people kind of do those in different orders. And we could probably have a long conversation on what's better, what's worse, what works and what doesn't. But I found that if you do an income producing activity every day, whether you get the money or not, the money for you has meaning. We say dollars equal people you help deliver. That cash is people you've helped lives change. So it's not about making the money as much as it is about impact, but money can be a way to measure that impact, right? So the first thing I'm doing is, okay, who can I actually close as a client? Who can I actually collect from that's already a client? Who can I put on some type of payment plan, or who can I sign up for a VIP day? Because I want to make sure that the priority is sustaining and building legacy. The second thing is, okay, now let me put some content out that lets other people who don't know what we can do, how we can solve their problem, how we can help change their life, how we can bring them from this place of sadness and insecurity and lack of purpose to really living out your maximum potential. And then I go back and say, okay, now who are my current clients? And then I figure out ways to serve them. And I do that also in ministry, same idea. And so we do both ministry and marketplace. That's a concept we call be both. But we believe you can be both the lion and the lamb. You can be prophetic and gain profit and not have to compromise. So that's a little bit about that routine. I've been trying to go to bed earlier. Some of the highest achievers that I know are in the bed by 9 o'clock because they're up at 3 and 4. Personally, I'm kind of in by like 10:30-ish, maybe 11, but I'm still up every day at 5, making it happen. If I need breaks throughout the day, I take those too.
Oh, I love that. You dropped a lot of good nuggets there, and you always segue into my next area that I want to go into. And so the next area I wanted to go into is a combination of ministry and marketplace. And so how do you respond to critics who say ministry should never be mixed with business?
Yeah, so I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's perspective. I'm a type of guy that there are some right and wrongs, but I rarely try to make a person feel like what I'm doing is right and what they're doing is wrong. I would probably suggest to them that there are so many spaces where marketplace needs people who do ministry well. And I also think that there are so many ministries that need to adopt marketplace practices in order to really thrive and maximize, the potential they have. For me, it was a tough transition because I was so embedded in ministry that I don't think I really understood the place of marketplace in ministry purpose. Now I'm at a place where, having surveyed scripture, having done prayer, really having seeking God about how to impact the world and not just my locality. I believe that it's there. I believe that Jesus chooses businessmen on purpose. I believe that Paul, who writes more of the New Testament than anybody else, didn't just do ministry, but he spoke multiple languages. He consulted with government, and he was a tent maker, which meant he was doing ministry in the marketplace. Matter of fact, he was preaching and teaching to people who were of high society. And so he had to have marketplace mentality and marketplace conversation to even be able to explain to them the gospel that he had. That people always talk about the number of times the Bible talks about giving and finances, and that's also true. But I think more than the number of times it talks about it, I think that it is difficult to really accomplish God-sized vision without also having God-sized provision. And that provision comes because we operate well in the marketplace. One of the big convictions for me was when I was reading this story in the book of Jeremiah, and God is like, "Hey, go down, go down to the potter's house." And there's this whole potter's house scene, and I thought it was crazy because God sends the prophet down to the potter's house, but when he gets to the potter's house, the potter who's doing business is what God uses to give him a spiritual word. I was like, that's it. That is how this works. That it's not
Mhm.
either or, it can be and both. And so I really believe that God has positioned more people than who really raised their hand and said, I'll go. I think he's positioning people to do marketplace so that we can come back and provide low to no cost ministry. And that's my heart. My heart is to help people who are already active in ministry understand how they can succeed in the marketplace. That allows them, one, to be evangelistic because they're speaking and preaching and sharing to a group of people who may never come to a church, but need gospel and need practical strategies for success. But then also we can tap into corporate income, campus income that allows us to come back and provide low to no cost ministry. Now you can feed more than just 20 people. You can buy more than just 10 bikes for Christmas. You can just, you can do more than put a homeless person in a hotel for 3 weeks. You can now buy the house and buy the neighborhood. And so for me, I do not think that there should be a distinction between the two. I think that while they may be different, they really work well together. Like play cousins. You got to keep the two connected.
I love that. I love that. You stole my next question, but that's okay. We'll move on because my next question
Dr.
was
Pruden,
what
I
does
think you might
low.
be muted.
I'm not. Can you not hear me? You can't hear me? Do you hear me?
I do now. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. It might be the internet because I didn't touch anything.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine, guys. I need to know if you can't hear me, no one else can hear me. So no, you are fine.
Okay.
As we are wrapping up, I have my final two questions, and they have to do with leadership and legacy. So we want to close out with legacy. A lot of us use that term, a legacy, a lot.
Yeah.
Certainly, leadership is what we do, but leadership
Right.
and legacy. So as a husband and father, how do you keep your family prioritized while leading and coaching others?
That's a great question. My quick answer to how do I keep my family engaged is one, we have identified family time that's scheduled. So everybody knows, that Fridays are that day. Now we can deviate from it, but everybody knows that's the time. So I think scheduling it brings success to anything that you want to do regularly. So that's a scheduled time. And then two, I bring them along. There are many conferences and speaking engagements that I bring my kids to that I bring my family to. My wife and I are both speakers. So as a result, there's some things that we may do together. There are also times where if she's speaking, I may take the kids so that they'll still have some time, to kind of enjoy and be entertained and not have to always be at work. But I do think there are moments where we do it together. And so because we do it together, two things are happening. One, I'm getting family time. They're working the table. They may be helping set up. They may be doing some of the media, capturing some content. And so they're part of the business, which means now the business doesn't pull me away from them. The other part is it starts to build a legacy. They see what we do. They are a part of it. So at any point that God calls them to, or they feel led to walk in those same footsteps, legacy is not only leaving them the money, legacy is also helping them learn the lesson, right? They're hearing the speaking, they're hearing other speakers, they're learning how to have conversations where they introduce themselves with elevator pitch and then ask questions. They are understanding how to run events. They know how to ask more questions than make statements as coaches. And so the legacy begins in bringing family along, but then also realizing that, hey, we don't do this 100% of the time. There's time that we take breaks from this and it's just us, whether that's a staycation or a long vacation, or it is playing chess and checkers and Monopoly. I'm a Monopoly head, right? And playing Monopoly at the house with the kids. Or maybe it's just, getting out of the house, riding, grabbing something to eat. I love movies. And so movies are kind of something that I do for me, but occasionally the kids will come as well and they got to get to take that time. And so I think it's scheduling family time and then not being afraid to bring family with you so that there isn't a pulling or a drawing away from.
I love that. And so we've actually reached the final question before you tell this community how they can stay in contact with you. And so that final question is, what legacy do you hope to leave for the next generation of coaches, speakers, and servant leaders?
That's good. I think the biggest legacy I would like to leave is I would like people to learn how to appreciate both. I want them to be both. I want my kids and the next generation to realize that you do not have to create this chasm between ministry and marketplace, that you can be strong in your faith while at the same time having what some would consider high finances and still be God connected, still be in your purpose. And I believe if we can adopt the idea of being both, then we will impact and infiltrate both, that the marketplace will make kingdompreneurs and the ministry space will provide a answer and a solution for the hurt and the pains that are felt in the marketplace that have recently not been given real answers. So for me, is if I can raise up 500, right now the number I have is 500,000. I'm holding on to that. If I can reach 500,000 people so that they know they can be both, that they don't have to stay grounded, but they can fly, and that's focus forward, learn, don't lose, and say yes when it's their turn. I really believe I would have lived out the purpose that I'm here for, and that's maximizing the potential of others.
That is wonderful. So somebody is sitting somewhere saying, look, I need more. I need more information. This is too short. So I want you to tell those individuals what you have going on, if anything, how they can stay in contact with you, support you. Just tell them a little bit about what you got going on. You got programs, consulting, whatever it is that you know that will benefit them as well as the marketplace. Share that information with them so that they can reach out and stay contacted with you.
Yeah, that's good. And again, thank you for this opportunity. As mentioned, right, I only preach to you what I already have. And so, of course, I have those 4 items myself, right? The give and go, ISO, the one-on-one, and the huddle. I would really recommend that you consider joining our Max Potential coaching and speaking certification. It's a series of online courses. We weekly calls. We do a free call every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have an additional call every Thursday at 8 p.m. for those who have actually joined our programs. And so you can try out the Monday, or you can come with us and become a part of our family and our community and be with us every Thursday at 8 p.m. And of course, if you can't meet either of those, all of those sessions are recorded and they are bundled inside of our courses. And so we have a number of courses on coaching, speaking, marketing, and networking. And then, of course, we have just character building, leadership, how to be both. All of those courses are available in the certification, and you do earn a coaching certification, a speaking certification, and you are moved into this program that really helps you launch your coaching and speaking business or scale your current coaching and speaking business to 10K per month. And we help you do that in the first 2 months, and then we kind of scale you from there. That's an entry level for many. But then, of course, those who are already coming in making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month, we give you practical ways to scale that so that you can easily hit the 7 figures. And so, first of all, I would love for you guys to consider that. That's our Academy certification. Now, that's a really done or do-it-yourself program. We also have a done for you. It's called the Playmaker. This is where we build everything. I and my team build out your website, set up your emails. We put you on stages and take photos and videos. We build your speakers reel. We help you get booked. We set you up with posters. We create the transformation. We walk you through your keynote. We help you package your coaching so that it can actually convert and sell. It's a Playmaker package where we literally do it for you and or with you so that, again, you can impact the world around you. All of those things are available. You can find them at maxpotentialcmi.com. Again, that's maxpotentialcmi.com. But honestly, I would love to talk to you directly. Like, going to the website would be great, but it's a lot of information. And so you can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn, and it is at DS Riddick and the number 2. Again, DS Riddick, Riddick, and the number 2. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. DM me so that we can start a no conversation, and we can make sure that what we have to offer fits where you are. We can help you scale in your speaking, scale in your coaching. You know, I've always said, and I think it is Vin Gang who says this, that there are AM and PM mentors, right? AM mentors are aspirational. These are the people you would dream of connecting with. They may be a little further off than where you are. For me, you know, that was the ET and being able to go on a book tour with Les Brown. It was connecting with the U.S. ambassador. Like those were aspirational. But before I got to them, there were PM mentors, pragmatic mentors, people who were just a little ways further than I was, but they could give me coaching and mentoring and skills and resources so that I could be prepared for the aspirational mentors. And I'm not sure where I am based on where you are, but I would love to be the PM mentor to help you get to maybe some larger mentors that you want, because I've already connected with them. So I can be that bridge. Or maybe you're making this big step, and where I am now is a long way from where you are, right? Making the six figures, speaking 5 or 6 times a month, while also being able to impact churches and congregations and ministry. If I'm your aspirational mentor, connect in those ways. Again, the website, maxpotentialcmi.com or dwightriddick.com, or either the LinkedIn, Instagram at dsriddick2, and I would love to help you maximize your potential, because I do not believe you have to stay stuck. I believe you can fly. And I want to thank Dr. Karen Pruden for this opportunity to be able to share how you can get from stuck to soaring in a very short time, because success loves speed and it's been waiting for you.
I love that. And this has been a powerfully packed podcast interview. So I think if some people are like me, they're going to have to listen to it a couple of times, because you be dropping that knowledge, boy. You just keep it moving, but you be just dropping it. So we can't write that fast. So we're going to have to listen to it a couple of times. And so thank you so much for coming to the Sister Leaders community. And before we close out, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the conference, because my team will have a hissy fit, because
Yeah.
we are in full conference planning. And so if you like what you have heard here, in terms of Dr. Riddick, then know that he will be gracing the stage of the 2025 Sister Leaders Conference, among many others, this coming October 3rd and 4th at the Rivers Casino in Portsmouth, Virginia. The website is sisterleadersconference.com. Look, this year our theme is her voice, her vision, her victory. And we love the combined efforts of our sister leaders and our male counterparts who support women in leadership. And so together we can fly high, we can fly far. And so we are so excited. And so if you're interested in knowing more about the conference, go to sisterleadersconference.com. And I will thank Dr. Riddick again, and make sure you listen to this as many times as you need to, so that you can get the knowledge that he dropped here. Thank you so much.
Thank you again so much for having me. And to all the sisters, we believe in you. We want to see you succeed.
Absolutely. And